Welcome, this is Evga Gtx with my budget LGA 775 build entry. This is the second collaboration and competition I will be taking part in, the last one being the $73 budget build, except this one has a different theme. Instead of being restricted to a certain budget, the goal was to build the best bang for the buck computer while using the LGA 775 socket. Pricing will be determined using standard eBay sales. Additionally, testing will include a combination of synthetic and gaming benchmarks. Judges will determine who the winner is by looking at performance, value, and aesthetics. If you are curious about more details and rules, feel free to join the Budget Build Competition Discord. Other participants include Use Tech Hustle, Epic Tech, and If That's the Case. With the details of the competition out of the way, let's take a look at what I managed to put together to showcase the legendary LGA 775 socket. For the base of this build, I will be using an HP Elite Compact 8000 mini tower. This computer came with a Core 2 Quad Q8400 and 8GB of DDR3 RAM. I picked this up from a local recycling plant, however eBay will be used to determine the value. The closest model I could find sold for $52. After accounting for the inferior CPU and lack of RAM, the compact comes out at $71. I wouldn't recommend picking up one of these at that price because shipping is a pretty major part of eBay valuations. That being said, the quad cores and sufficient RAM should pull through in games. For storage, I went for an old 120GB Intel SSD. These can be found regularly for around $21 on eBay, which I think is well worth the price considering the significant boost in performance when compared to a hard drive. Granted, for long-term usage, picking up a hard drive to serve as a game drive would be useful, but for testing purposes, this drive is more than enough. The Evga Gtx 750 Ti seemed ideal for this build because of its lack of need for external power. Additionally, the 2GB of GDDR5 RAM should pair nicely with the Core 2 Quad. Although I wouldn't pay this price, this model appears to be going for around $53 on eBay. Altogether, this build came out to $145, which is a lot more than I would pay for any Core 2 Quad system, but I am still interested in seeing how it holds up in benchmarks and games. With the components discussed, it is time for you to sit back, relax, and enjoy this incredibly short build montage. With the build completed, let's get into performance. Starting with synthetics, I ran Cinebench R15, where the Core 2 Quad Q8400 scored 267 CB, placing it below the FX 8120 I tested in a past video. On the OpenGL side of things, the GTX 750 Ti scored 41.23 FPS. Moving on to Geekbench, the Core 2 Quad scored 1,687 single-core and 4,351 multi-core. In the compute test, the system scored 51,949. Transitioning over to games, I played Subnautica at 1080p, which ran surprisingly well. In the past, I have noticed this is a pretty CPU-bound game, but it performed decently in this setup, with an above 60 FPS average at low settings. Csgo did well in the workshop map, producing fluid gameplay all the way up to high settings. However, smoke grenades caused heavy dips in FPS, which can be clearly seen in the 16 FPS minimums at low settings. TF2 ran great on this computer, achieving a 84 FPS average at high settings. There were occasional drops in FPS, but they didn't have a large impact on gameplay, especially if you capped it at 60 FPS. Finally, I tested Fortnite, which performed decently. For competitive gameplay, I would recommend a blend of low and medium settings to achieve a consistent FPS while receiving the most visually satisfying gameplay as possible. In conclusion, even though I wasn't happy with the price of this build, LGA 775 surprised me with how it held up in 2019. For lighter but still popular games like Fortnite, The Core 2 quad was easily playable, even at high settings. All of the other contestants' builds will be linked in the description, so I definitely recommend that you check them out. I know their builds will have completely different specs and price points, so we will have to see how my computer ranks up next to theirs. Also let me know in the comment section below if you want to see different challengers in the future. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Also feel free to check out the rest of the content on this channel. Thank you for watching.